Hey, welcome back to Happy Little Note Trees. Today we're going to be taking a look at recreating the look of Nosferatu, that classic vampire horror film from 1922. I know there is a modern version, but seriously, who wants to do that when we can make this look? And I was working on it, and yeah, the trick is that I'm going to make the LUTs available for purchase at the website. There's a link in the description that's going to go with this video, mostly because we're looking at a node tree that looks like this, and that isn't even half of it. We have a lot going on in Fusion as well. So you can see here this whole node tree of everything that I have going on. If you've followed any of the videos I've done on projector style grading, this is a modified version of that. But we have our footage getting run through, have our footage that we're wanting to make look like Nosferatu, 1922. We have it running through this, which breaks into the three different layers of dye, and that's when we can go like here and look up on the viewer. And you can see we have on this view the three layers of dye, and this is a simulated view of what I'm trying to do in creating this shot and this image. And so yeah, when we talk about it, we have all this going on, and the big issue is once I dialed it in, like if we look at some of the shots from Nosferatu, what we can see on the scopes is there's an elevated black level. And in Nosferatu 1922, they did a black and white filming, and then they dyed the black and white and tinted it to represent daylight, twilight, and nighttime. And so yellow, this off yellow is daylight, twilight is pink, and then this bluish cyan green, or I don't even know what you want to call this color. It's close to cyan, it's left of cyan, is nighttime. So we have these nighttime shots, and that's how you communicated time, and that's how they did a lot of things with day for night, because they shot things during the day, and if it was just black and white, you would be like, that's shot during the day. And so they tinted the film in 1922 to give it this color, to tell the passage of time and communicate the story in that way. And I thought it would be fun to recreate that in honor of watching Nosferatu. So if we switch, I don't know if my OBS switched over when I jumped back to the color page. Nope. There we go. So we're looking at this node tree that I built projector style. So we made a variety of changes, not really any changes, but it's just kind of finding that right hue and tinting thing. So this looks green, and you cognize this as green, but there is no green in this image. Is the funny thing. If you look at the grass in the background, this is all just a shade of pink. And so we have our footage coming in. We've tweaked some of these settings through here to make adjustments to get that hue just right. This is actually a black ink print, but the black ink was dyed to match the color of the highlight, which is in the projector. So we're trying to be true to this. I didn't want to be crazy and steer this around in a way that if we push this, you can see we're putting color into it like it was projected. And so we have the projector light. So we're really trying to go for this look and steer that around. And so everything is tinted to a degree. And you can see everything is just relative. You start to push color back into it by going to white. But yeah, took some playing around. Okay, undo. Let's put that back to where it was. And we finally have, and you can see there's no green in this image. Like you look at that, our vector scope, but you still are picking out and cognizing that grass as being green in the background, which I just find fascinating. Her skin looks skinnish, and we have all these things that are going on. But yeah, very fun. I did all that to say we have, if I apply, apply grade, you can see I have that, and I have the yellow as well. And so all three of those, what I have to do, the last step, is turn this into a LUT. So you can see here we have the yellow and the green as well. I have them saved off as power grades right now, but the problem is if I was to play this footage back, I'm going to get ridiculous. I think it runs at like 4 frames per second because there's so much going on with how the dye layers are picked apart, and they do their little thing where they do the bleed off on the highlights. The print stock and the negative stock were 5247 going to a print of 2383, and then it's been a black and white negative that's tinted to these colors. So I've already done one, but we're going to drop out to the edit page, change my OBS around, and look at it like this. And so this is we have our stack timelines. This is actually the LUT creator. So there's a video. This is going to follow the same steps that we would do. So this is our LUT creator timeline. So we just bring up timelines. So your timeline settings, Carl Hendrickson, I use a DCTL from him, so there will be a link for that in the description of how to do this. But he has a video on this as well, and I just thought I'd walk through it, mostly more so I can watch it myself. But yeah, setting your timeline settings to this is where you want it. For the resolution is 4225 by 256, and there's some tweaks that we've made to that. And in this timeline, we can call that timeline the LUT creator timeline. And we have inside of it, we have the LUT cube, which is another timeline. It's an adjustment layer that has a fusion comp in it. So we go into, I have it stacked timeline. So here is the adjustment layer that's in a compound clip called the LUT cube, which is in the LUT creator timeline that has its own setup. So here is the adjustment layer. If we go to the color page, you'll see, oops, we've added all of this, which is so this is if we were to apply our green hue look to it or our pink hue look to it. So but what we did in there is we went into Fusion, and hopefully I don't crash. Yeah, presets, Fusion presets. Fusion does not like dual screen. So in Fusion, we rebuilt that entire look that we did, but up here we used a DCTL called the Carl Hendrickson Identity Cube Generator. We've set it to 65 points, cube on the bottom, and that is what is generating the fullness of our look. So when we go back to the edit page, there's our look. We've applied it to the fullness of this adjustment layer, and it's generating this cube. And now we go back to the LUT creator, which is a compound clip, which has the compound clip of the LUT cube. And we can go into Fusion, open in the Fusion page, and you can see here we have our little node tree. We zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. And it's set up like this. So we have our media in up here on the left, and then we've cropped it to be 65 points. So you can see it's a 65 point Y size and the same width. And that is just to deal with the fact that the LUT cube analyzer, which is just built into Resolve, the LUT cube analyzer. You put that in, and it's going to ask you to give it a file, click cube, and everything like that. So you select cube, and we're going to bring this up. Let's see here. And yeah, DC 18 LUTs. We're going to call this Twilight, or this is Twilight V3. Twilight V3 underscore DEC Studios. Save. And now it printed that. So now if we go to the color page, this LUT expects Davinci Wide Gamut Intermediate. And so we go back to the color page. We're going to go back to edit. We're going to go back to this timeline. And we're going to go down here. So girl in bathtub. We're going to go there. And we have our color space, putting it in Davinci Wide Gamut. We're going to go to our LUTs over in our LUT folder. So you can see that. And we're going to refresh our LUT folder. Refresh. Reveal in Finder. Why is it not refreshing? It printed it, right? LUT cube, daylight. No, did we not? Oh, I know what I did. Ha ha ha. Let's bring that back up. We gotta go back. Go back to our LUT cube. Go into Fusion. Open this LUT cube in Fusion. We didn't print it, actually. We gave it a name, but we did not write the file. So now we have written the file, and this might crash Resolve. We'll see how that goes. I crashed it yesterday, but it's analyzing that cube that we've piped through all those layers. So we've created the look, the feel, and Finder. Is it printing it? It might have broken it. Who knows? But yeah, anyways, it writes the file and then it creates the cube, and we can see that it's taking sweet old time. And so yeah, and now my dog is gonna bark. It's great fun. But yeah, these LUTs I'll make available. I'm actually wanting to, like, once we get to the next level layer of damaging the footage, because on one hand it looks good. Let's see if I fix. I had a lot going on with Resolve. Maybe we just force quit, start over. Happens. But what was I saying? Yes, what I was saying was at this point in the video, let's see here, we hop out to the color page, back to edit, color. I'm still in that. Bring this. That is the hard part of fresh. Daylight did not print, and it's probably because it's upset that I'm running OBS and everything got freaked out. And I'm going to have to do this on my own time, not inside the video. I already did one of them, so we can go back to my LUTs. This is the Nosferatu Daylight. So we have our color space transform. So now we're... My dog is not happy with life, and there's nothing I can really do to it. So we're just going to reset this for some reason. And we have our daylight, and it looks moderately too clean. And so underneath, we're going to just add a node. We're going to change this to gamma linear, because that's what I do. And this is just going to allow us to tweak. The thing about what we're doing right now is tweaking what happened on set, and that's going to get typed into this LUT. So let's get OBS back to where it should be. And so like we can bring up our exposure linearly and things like that. You can see it's working underneath this LUT. This LUT gives back a Rec 709 image. It expects Davinci wide gamut intermediate. And then the other things that we're going to add in are, we're going to do, I like, come on, freaky computer, why are you? My whole layout is reset. I hate that. So I like the stock film grain for this. So Nosferatu was shot on 35mm. We're actually going to crank this texture up, make this grain very strong, give it a goofy aspect ratio, just kind of dirty this image up, and things like that. We're also going to do, after that, we're going to do film damage. So that's going to give us some other aspects that we can play with. So we can add a little bit more blur to that, how it's looking. We can bring up a vignette on it, just a slight vignette, because we'll play around with that. We actually want this dirt color to match. The brightest part of our image, and bring it down to here. Add in 2 scratches, make it a moving kind of. Add a scratch that's kind of static. Off to the side. Yeah. What else should we do? Let's make sure that's that. So now we turn on loop. We just got this looping. We want to add in, oh yeah, film damage. We're going to make that dirt density bigger. And bring it up a little bit. A little bit blur. It's a little bright, so we want to just bring it down. Oops. Seeing how that looks. Things like that. So we did tweak that. We can turn that off. How is this grain working? Let's look at how this grain looks. Just as grain. Yeah. It's just playing around with it. That's how I have our dirt working over it. Turn that off. What else can we do in here? Vignetting. The other thing is we can add, on top of all this, we can add another one, which is the Flickr edition. And I like it. If you watch Nosferatu, there is this vignette flicker that happens. And we want that speed to be very slow. Even slower than that. I want it to be very smooth. It was very subtle. I want to pull back a little bit. Yeah. Bring up the randomness scale a little bit. Bring up the range. Yeah. I might add probably maybe a little scatter. Let's just put it in Davinci White Gamut and Davinci White Intermediate Black. Just kind of give it a little. Yeah. And then what else we can do? So we can also make it feel faded by just adding, how can we make it faded? That was, so now we got this. This is actually running pretty good with scatter is actually loading up. Not too shabby. We can fade it. Let's see if we do a bleach bypass. There is a DC tail that might work for what I want to do. And this is from iridescent color. Where is it in here? I gotta reorganize all my things. Not doing what I want to do. The other thing we could do, we could probably maybe, if we wanted to, contour might actually work for that. No. Now I remember what I did. I'm a dum-dum. So after this, I used DCTL for mononodes. You could use color shift, I presume. Color slice, I mean, from in Resolve, but I am going to use this because I use it. It's mine, and I appreciate mononodes and the work that he has done to create some really good things. And I find it to be a lot easier to use. The only thing is, if I'm having a look, I should just go get it from my stills, because otherwise, shapers, and I want yellow. Display number, yellow shaper, just drop that in there, there we go. And now we can control things like the sat, so we can bleach it out that way. We can add a little density, we can change the hue, rotate the hue if we want, just a little bit, a notch off center, and get it dialed in exactly the way we want. You want it to be more rich, like it's less faded and dyed very well, or it's faded film, kind of just how you want to shape that. And you can see our flicker is doing its thing. So we might be able to come back in and add that brightness back in underneath the linear exposure. And yeah, that is some damaged looking film that you can now imagine in a horror movie, she's about to get killed. So, which, not too bad. Like if you're just jumping back and forth between this and that, we're still a little bit tight. I'm going to work a little bit more on the LUTs and get them a little bit closer. I don't know if this is using the updated one. I'm shooting for this. It's a target. I mean, but I mean, if you were going to make a silent horror film nowadays, in the vein of 1922 Nosferatu, this isn't too bad. I'd be scared. I think there's some tweaks that we can be made along the way and get it closer if you want. But I would say we're in that place of 90% there, and that is sometimes as good as it can be. If you like this video, please go to the link in the description. It'll take you to my website. You can get these LUTs. I think I'm going to set them at a very low price of, I don't know. But you'll find out there what that is. Like, subscribe, do all those other YouTubey things. Share this video around. Yeah, but if you get the LUTs, it'll come with this node tree set up so that you can recreate the damage that goes on it. And then if you make a horror film or a short horror film, I might do that in the next week or so, and then make a short little 5-minute horror film. Be sure to send me a message. I'd love to see it. Anyways, till next time, it's been fun building a happy little node tree with you and using LUTs. So, sorry that it crashed. I might do a standalone video on how to. I'll link Cower's video in there so you get a full in the description. But bye.